All rise. Good afternoon again. You may be seated. All right, everyone's present and accountable. Mr. Lanning, you may proceed, Counsel.
Good afternoon.
Hi.
To be clear, when you're doing these analyses, these are where the actual phone is, correct? You can't tell where a person is, just where the phone is, correct?
Right. We can only tell the tower and sector that the phone was utilizing. Obviously, who's using that phone, the content of the phone call, I have no idea.
Okay, and the phone records don't indicate what the content of the phone call is?
No. Content of the phone call or the text message, we cannot get that from AT&T.
Okay. There are some phone companies that do provide the content of the text messages. Are there not?
Yes, still, there's at least one.
Okay. You talked about some phone calls in July 21st to the 23rd. A series of calls in the Denver, Longmont, Colorado area.
Yes.
Correct? That was phones for Hemy Neuman and Andrea Sneiderman, correct?
Yes.
And according to those records and your analysis, both of those phones were in that area on those dates.
Yes.
Do you recall, and I know your analysis started on July 21st, do you recall if Andrea Sneiderman's phone was in that area prior to Hemy Neuman's phone being in that area?
It was, yes.
Moving to November 16th, you talked about both Andrea Sneiderman and Hemy Neuman's phones being in contact with one another, correct?
Yes. I mean, do you have? Can you show the slide?
I think it was slide 14.
No, yes.
Okay. So on this date, this is the phone numbers associated with Andrea Sneiderman's phone and Hemy Neuman's phone, correct?
That's correct.
And you testified that there was a 9-minute, 17-second call between those two phones, correct?
Yes.
And which way was that call going, from Andrea Sneiderman to Hemy Neuman, or do you know?
I would have to look at the records.
Okay.
Records, President Court.
Right here.
Okay. Please.
You don't have to say please.
The date she was referring to is November the 16th, 2010. Is that the date you want to look at, Counsel?
Yes, Judge.
It is. It's the 9-minute and 17-second call is from the Hemy Neuman phone to the Andrea Sneiderman phone,
Thank you.
and it was at 5:32 p.m.
Okay. And if we could have slide 15, please. So later that day, into that evening, both phones are around the Mangat Court area, correct?
That's correct.
And so it shows the Hemy Neuman's phone near Dunwoody Road and then later near Mangat Court, correct?
That's correct.
And then later moving away,
That's correct.
back towards, I guess, towards Buckhead area?
Well, back towards 285, I'd call it.
On the 18th, And I think that was slide,
Is that November 18th count?
yes, November 18th, 2010, slide number 16. There were 9 contacts between Andrea Sneiderman and Hemy Neuman's phone, correct?
Correct.
Between the hours of 9:27 a.m. and 10:50?
Yes.
And is that a combination of phone calls and text messages?
Yes.
And you talked about the various places where, the various towers that Hemy Neuman's phone was hitting off of throughout that time period. But again, you can't say where Hemy Neuman was, just where the phone was approximately, correct?
That's correct, yes.
And slide 17, please. And this was your chart or your analysis of the number of phone calls between Andrea Sneiderman's phone and Hemy Neuman's phone between the dates of May 1st, 2010 and November 18th, 2010, correct?
That's correct.
And that was 1,426 phone calls. Are those just phone calls or phone calls and texts?
Phone calls and texts.
Okay. And 882 between Andrea Sneiderman and Rusty Sneiderman's phone, correct?
Correct.
Also phone calls and texts?
Yes.
And do you recall doing an analysis of the phone calls from Hemy Neuman's phone to Andrea Sneiderman's phone? And let me be more specific in my question. Were there more phone calls than any other, or more contacts than any other from Hemy Neuman's phone to Andrea Sneiderman's phone? More contacts to Andrea Sneiderman than any other person? Is that more clear?
I think I know what you're asking. You're saying in regards to the Hemy Neuman records?
Yes.
So this count was made in regards from the Sneiderman records.
Right.
So from the Hemy Neuman records, I don't remember if Andrea Sneiderman was the top person contacted in that time period. I don't remember the count off the top of my head.
Okay.
But it seems like I recall it being, if not the top, like in the top 5 for sure.
Okay. And then finally, you testified about specific phone records from Hemy Neuman's phone, pages 100 and 101. And you don't need to put those slides up. The phone calls lasted 3 minutes and 8 seconds, and then 3 minutes and 49 seconds. Would that indicate to you that there was a conversation, as opposed to just a call, nobody answered, hang up?
Based on my experience and my expert knowledge of it, I would say that it was a actual connection between those two the two phones. There was conversation, only because typically the voicemail platforms do not allow a message quite that's right on the edge of how long they usually allow you to leave a message for. So I would lean towards, based on my experience, that was an actual connected phone call between two parties.
Thank you, sir.
Well, based on your experience and expertise, what's the normal length of the maximum for a voicemail message?
It can range typically in the 2 to 3 minute range. So like I said, it's pretty much right on the edge.
Any redirect?
No, Your Honor.
Lawyers, may this witness be released in excuse for this subpoena, or do you want him to remain under subpoena?
He can be released, Your Honor.
Yeah,
No,
right.
actually, no, Your Honor, I take that back. We would subject
I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you said.
subject to recall, Your Honor. We'd
So
ask
you
that he
do
not
not
be
want him
released.
released?
Correct.
All right, Special Agent, you go for the day, this remain under subpoena, and you may or may not have conflicts over the next several weeks, but you'll be communicated with adequately so that you can arrange to be back here in Atlanta if needed.
Unfortunately, I'm quite aware.
All right.
Thank you. I've done this before.
Well, I know you are, but that's what I'm say it again, clear as I can. Appreciate you. Good seeing you. Drive safely. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is a little bit after 5 o'clock, and I know we have other individuals lined up for you, for lack of a better term, on a batter's deck, but I'm not going to call them in the service at this point in time. We're going to go ahead and take a break at this point in time. Let me give you these instructions. Do not discuss the case or allow anyone to discuss the case with you. Do not remain upon the fifth floor. Do not sit near anyone next to anyone if you are having dinner here in the Gator area. I'll tell you all know again, if someone's talking about the case, either A, move away from them, or B, tell them to move away from you. Do not remain upon the 5th floor once I release you for this break. You don't want you to hear or see anything you should not see or hear. Do not read or look at any media coverage pertaining to this case. Do not go up on the internet or do any research about this case. Do not blog about this case while it's ongoing. You're still involved in this case. Do not go to any location that may or may not have been made reference to. Obviously, if you live in a particular area, I'm not telling you you can't go home, but I'm saying don't go and try to do anything independent investigation, so don't misinterpret what I'm saying. All the evidence must come to you in the form of sworn testimony from this witness stand, and any physical evidence that's introduced during the course of the trial. Also, any stipulations are introduced during the course of the trial. You're more than welcome to bring something to snack and eat with you once we reconvene. Do not consume any alcoholic beverages during the lunch break. And obviously, you're all adults. If you do decide to consume alcoholic beverages in the evening, do not overindulge where it impacts or affect your ability to function the following day. We'll follow the same procedure when you come back, not tonight, but when you come back, I'll give you these directions. Just put your phone in off position, and that way it won't be vibrating during the course of the day, but you are more than welcome to return any cell phone communications or any communications that you have or emails that you may have. The lawyers and parties can talk or interact with you, so I don't want you to think you're being rude or discourteous. As I mentioned earlier in the process, I'm going to be in session on an unrelated matter tomorrow. It has nothing to do with you. So don't draw any emphasis from that one way or the other. I'm going to suspend this case temporarily until Friday morning at 9 o'clock a.m. Now, I know someone had sent out the note earlier about can you go to work. As I said, you're still on the jury. I just really made that arrangement so that if you have a doctor's appointment or a medical appointment or a dental procedure, something like that, it's easier to reschedule those things because you're going to be with me for a while. For a Thursday than it is trying to do a Saturday and Sunday. That's why it is there. But don't talk to anyone about the case. And the reason I say my preference is for you not to go into a workplace because obviously you are more interacting with your colleagues and your coworkers, and I don't want you to be put in a compromised position and anyone asking you about something. So my preference is for you not to go in, but obviously if you were, I'm not saying you were, but if you were an accountant and you had to go in and do bookkeeping and make payroll by Friday, that's different because you're such an essential employee in that corporation. But the plan is for you to be here the entire time. I just had to make a decision for my planning and scheduling point in time when I had these lengthy matters, more so that accommodate your schedule, more so than mine. As I mentioned to you earlier, the lawyers and parties can't talk with you. Leave your notepads there in the jury room, turn face down. No one's going to look at your notes. Everything's going to be in the exact same position as it was when you leave here tonight. Continue to carry your badges with you. And we're going to reconvene at 9 o'clock on Friday morning. You're more than welcome to come tomorrow, but I'm not going to be on this case. I'm doing something else. But I'm not telling you the court is going to be open. I'm going to be here. And then you guys can come tomorrow. You're going to see a lot of people here. I'm related in this case. Any questions about the logistics? Wonderful. You can be early, but you can't be late. I'll see you Friday at 9 o'clock a.m. Friday. Let me give you the date. I'm sure nobody gets the August the 12th at 9 o'clock a.m. You can be early, but you can't be late. Now, anybody confused about what we're doing? Okay? Wonderful. I will see you Friday at 9 o'clock a.m. You're excused. Follow the instructions of the deputy. He's going to let you out here Friday. Lawyers approach. You can be early, but you can't be late. Have a wonderful evening. Get some rest. Thank you for keeping a positive attitude. Thank you for being attentive. Thank you for following my instructions always. Anyway, thank you for being positive and uplifting. Have a wonderful evening. I will see you on Friday at 9 o'clock a.m. And we'll have the fans here if you need it. All right, lawyers, before we break on this particular case, anything else for the record from the state?
Nothing from the state, Your Honor.
From the defense?
No, Judge.
All right. Lawyers, as I said, I'm going to be in session on unrelated matters. You're more than welcome to leave all the equipment and whatever you need here. Nobody's going to interfere with that. The lawyers who will be here tomorrow will just work around those things. And if your technician needs to, he can leave all of his things connected that he wants to. So nobody's going to interfere with it. But we will leave. And I'll make sure Kelly has all the exhibits that were marked and introduced during the course of this session. She's going to be responsible for making sure she holds on to those, and she will have them back here ready to go Friday morning. Also, Kelly, just those communications I'm on the record from the jurors. Like one question was, may I use my cell phone? That would be course exhibit number 2. All the communication was number 3. Basically, somebody asked, can we go to work on Thursday? I responded to that. Number 4 communication was, I put it in the record anyway. This is a communication that says we all need more notepads. So that has been responded to. The jurors have, and those are all the communications that we've had from the jurors. And all those will be a part of the record also. Any written communication that comes up from the jury, I'll make sure it's part of the record. And the stipulations have been filed and they are here. Deputy Garrett, we are on recess on this case until Friday at 9 o'clock. We will be in session tomorrow morning at 9.
All rise.
That last guy, was he saying past or cast? S-T. T is in front.